Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around. My name is Tyler.
I am Steve.
And today we are super excited to welcome Nick Nisco to the show. You may better know Nick by his Instagram tag, Elemental Playing Cards. He is the creator and designer of the Oxygen and the Hydrogen deck. And today we are going to be getting some new exciting information about his upcoming Carbon deck. So without further ado, welcome Nick.
Nick!
Hey,
What's up,
hey,
Nick?
what's up,
How you doing,
guys?
man?
Dude,
All right, how you guys been?
to the show.
Yeah, dude.
Good to be on. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for agreeing to come on. And honestly, with everything going on, getting ready to launch your new deck, I'm sure things are hectic. So we really appreciate you taking the time out to come on.
But you know what? The timing just worked out perfectly to be on the show and show it off a little bit.
Yeah, we're honored. We have a bunch of heavy hitters in here in the chat with.
Oh, really?
We got Matt Fujiwara, we got Kira, we got Kyle, we got Luke, your brother. We got Stu. All right, let's get it over with, right? This will be like the first thing we do every time now is just get the Stu stuff out of the way.
You don't have to eat a card unless you want.
Do you have a deck available that still has the wrapping on it?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, it's an oxygen deck too. All right, so open that bad boy up. We have all our guests sniff a deck of cards.
Is there like a correct or incorrect way to do this?
Whatever you feel like is the right way you want to do it. Yeah, I don't think there's a correct way to sniff a deck necessarily.
Do you sniff it while it's in the box, or do you take it out and sniff it? Do you fan it?
You do it whatever.
Yeah. Is there a correct way to
do it the Nick way?
I mean, I have sniffed a deck before because you can. I mean, you could always tell USPCC. Deeply.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, there it
is. we gotta get that ASMR track going.
Smells like USPCC.
Oh my god! It was funny because I opened something Cardamundi the other day and it was so pungent, and I was just like, oh my god, like they got to do something about that. It's so like smells like varnish to me. But how did you like the smell of your deck?
The USPCC, they all smell the same to me, USPCC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They what? Say that again?
They all smell the same to me, the USPCC.
Yeah, I think for the most part, like I'm sure if you see, I'm actually curious if the metallic ink would impart any extra scent, but really it's the varnish that you're smelling, like that final top.
Yeah.
So if it's the same top coat across all decks, like it's probably
the same.
Yeah, relatively.
I don't know if it's just the top coat or it's like the actual cut of the paper from the sides. You know, I think it's probably the cut of the paper.
Well,
do you know what's funny?
Well,
I don't smell anything on the top of the deck. I only smell something on the.
Yeah, I think it's the cut of the top.
But do you think?
So
we're actually having good questions here. Do you think that the varnish only goes on the sides or on the tops though? Like, do you think that they like spray everything and it's just that's the area that like?
I would assume it's the top of the deck.
Yeah, probably because then
the sides are always like rough.
Yeah.
So it very well could be that we're just smelling like machine grease from the cutting machine.
Yeah,
no idea.
I think it's just the paper for sure.
Yeah, I've never really considered what it is. I just assumed it was the varnish because it's a very like varnishy smell.
Yeah, it's the Stu says it's the cut of the paper that lets the glue smell out.
Oh, damn, Stu. You're not just the guy who smells them, you know about it too. We appreciate
that. Now I can't stop smelling them. Thanks, Stu.
Oh my god,
Nick, I love your decks so much that I have one on my desk at all times.
So Steve can joke, but I will tell you, probably somewhere on his desk is a carrot case with your deck in it. So not today.
Actually, I have a couple of his decks done. So I do have them on here, but I actually have been kind of cleaning my desk off a little bit. I got a new computer and monitor, and I've just been screwing around with stuff and going through some problems, so trying to fix it.
I feel like you broadcast from a different room in the house every week.
It's actually the same room. It was twice that I had to do it from the living room because my internet just was screwed up. I have to say screwed up because it's only 5 minutes in.
Yeah. Do you now have a timer so you know when 10 minutes comes, just so you can start cursing?
I'm looking on the screen.
There you go. But so I got to say, Nick, I think we've been excited about this one for a really long time, not only because you're coming out with a new deck in concert with being on the show, but just because we love your work. We love you as a guy. You know, you and Luke are really two peas in a pod. So having Luke on, we were also very excited to know that subsequently we were going to be having you on. At some point or another, we got to have both you on, I think, at some point, just to A, dispel some myths, and B, have a good conversation between the four of us, you know?
Yeah, I'd be totally down for that. I'm sure Luke would be into it as well.
Of course. You guys have like a bromance.
You know, we really do.
Yeah. It's like Tyler and I. He's my heterosexual life mate.
There you go. How does your wife feel about this relationship, Nick?
She's probably sick of hearing about Luke by now.
So through all of the bromance, though, have you two actually like had an opportunity to meet in person yet?
No, he's across the pond, so
he's young. He should be traveling the world. Come to New York. It's worthwhile.
It's in the talks. It's just, you know, things are a little bit tough right now, travel-wise.
Valid point.
Yeah.
Not worth traveling with COVID right now.
No, not at all.
So I think, you know, kind of diving into the big topic of the night, which will probably end up being your deck of cards that's coming. Give a little backstory about how you came to conceptualize the idea of the Element playing card series.
Oh, I mean, I don't even know where to start that story, because that story could start 10 years back or it could start 3 years back.
So you know what? It's a 2-hour show. Go for the 10-year version. We got that.
So it's about 13 years ago. I lose track of time now. I was working. I just got out of school. I got my bachelor's in graphic design, and I was working for a design firm. And right around that time is when I got into, you know, Magic and cards and all that, started collecting. And it was really not until I saw like the Smoke and Mirrors deck that I was like, oh my God, this deck is like, I didn't know a deck could be like that. Like, they just stripped everything and they just made it their own. Like, wow, this is like really, really awesome. And at that point, I wanted to make my own deck. And I did a little bit, but it was awful. It was basically a Dan and D ripoff. It was horrible. So I stopped. And then
we gotta see it.
I don't have it.
You were so ashamed you had to get rid of it.
Yeah, the files are deleted. I don't have those anymore. And then 2009, when we had the recession, I actually I was laid off from my job, and I had an awful time trying to find something else. So I was unemployed for, I don't know, it was like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And at that point, I was like, I can't find another design job. I got to do something else. And I wanted something with a little bit, after going through that whole experience, I wanted something with, you know, a little bit of stability. So I was like, let me look into teaching. It was actually my wife, my girlfriend at the time, who pushed me in that direction. And she's like, you love science. Why don't you just become a science teacher? And I was like, yeah, you know, I thought on it for a bit. And I decided to pull the trigger. I went back to school, got my master's degree in science education. And then about 3 years ago, but by that point, I wasn't collecting cards. I wasn't doing Magic anymore. Once I lost my job, I like put that to the back burner. And then once I got my teaching job, I had this one class that was it was like an elective for the kids. I could make the class whatever I wanted. And I eventually turned it into a playing card club. Yeah, and the kids loved it. I had a bunch of kids sign up for it, and all we did was, you know, play card games and, you know, do whatever magic tricks I remembered back at the time. And I was awful. They like caught me every single time. But and then I was like, you know what? Like, I started collecting cards, and I was like, you know, I really want to make my own deck. And I started looking at what's out there, and I saw a lot of stuff, like a lot of amazing stuff that like I missed out on, and, you know, a lot of other stuff that I was like, this really isn't that great. I think I can do something with this. And I was like, you know, I want it to be something that, you know, means something to me, something that I wanted to have. Mainly, I wanted it to be collectible, relatable, and identifiable. And then I was like, well, I'm also a science teacher. Maybe there's some science I could throw in there. And I saw the Vanda Planet series on Kickstarter, and I fell in love with that. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, brilliant idea. It had everything I wanted. I was like, what else could I do that's something, similar or something along those lines? And I came up with, the table of elements. And then from there, I was throwing around some designs, whatever. And I had one that I liked, which is, the hydrogen deck. And I was like, I'm just gonna throw it up Kickstarter, see what happens. Yeah. And it worked out. It got funded. And then here we are today.
Which, surprisingly, I actually opened the decks out of order. Only because, like, when I had come into the collecting scene, you had the Oxygen deck up on Kickstarter. And I think it was the first deck I had with metallic ink. So when it came in, I had actually ordered the Hydrogen from the campaign as well as the Oxygen because I wanted to have both. But I was like, man, I got to check out this metallic ink. And I probably had the decks for like a week or two before I finally opened the Hydrogen one. And I was like, as much as I love the Oxygen one and everything about it, I don't know. Like, I feel like the Hydrogen one almost like clicked even better, but I still, it's a tough like toss up. Like, both top 5 decks in my book, so it's a tough one.
Well, thank you.
we have a request from your lover. Luke,
oh yeah.
Luke wants you to stand up and show you a T-shirt.
Oh, there you go.
I was really hoping to that T-shirt.
Yeah. So this was actually intentional for tonight. Actually, I didn't even tell Luke I was going to wear it. So I'm surprised he caught it. I must have had a glimpse show or something like that.
That's a dope shirt,
you walk back to get the deck, and we could see We Are Zero on the back.
Yeah.
Well, Steve and I have talked to Luke a couple times about merchandise, and I definitely think we all need to be rocking hoodies at some point because they would be dope. But and how did you kind of come across Luke in this whole story? Since we're on the topic of the bromance.
So it wasn't. I guess last summer. It had to be sometime after the Hydrogen deck was funded. I don't know if it was released yet, but it was definitely after it was funded. I just reached out to Luke because I saw his designs. I saw him up on Kickstarter and really, really liked his stuff. And I really feel like his stuff is vastly different than pretty much anything else that's out there. And you could tell just by looking at the deck, you could tell like he is a graphic designer through and through. And that's what drew me to his deck right away. And then, we just started talking, and the bromance, spurred.
You guys were finishing each other's sentences?
Pretty much.
So Matt Fujiwara just dropped a comment in the chat. He goes, "Wow, leaving each other's clothes at each other's houses." Nicely done, Matt.
That was a good one. I'm gonna have to admit that one.
And I think one of the cool things about this community, from a collector's point of view for myself, but also to see from a design point of view, how much respect and discussion and just friendship builds out of this hobby centered around 52 pieces of paper. It's crazy. And to think that, you've now taken something that was your original kind of job, which I'm assuming you enjoy design because ideally you would have gone.
Yeah.
I feel like very rarely do people go to college being like, I want to be a graphic designer, but I hate art. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, business, sure. Computers, maybe. Not usually
right.
Art. So it's nice to see, though, you be able to take something like graphic design that you obviously enjoy and then pair it with your current job of science teaching, which you obviously also seem to enjoy, and really bring something out of it that combines both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I lucked out in that way. I was able to, find a really strong bridge between the two. Yeah.
And so, what did the kids in your card club? Sorry, Steve. What did the kids in your card club think of the fact, though, that you designed a deck? Do they know?
So yeah, they've only seen the hydrogen because once the oxygen was shipped out, school was no longer happening inside the building.
Yeah.
So they do know about the hydrogen. A bunch of the kids have the H deck. We have like a school store. I had donated like 2 or 3 bricks to the school store.
That's dope.
Yeah, so like the kids, they get like fake money that they could for doing, good deeds in the building, and they can use that money at the school store to, like pencils, erasers, binder, all this school stuff. So I threw my cards in there, and I found out that they sold out within like 2 lunch periods.
I was just about to ask, which one did quicker, the school store or your Kickstarter? That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's cool. So what, are you going to put the oxygen in there as well?
Yeah, I'll throw some in there once, we're back in the building, wherever that's going to be.
Yeah, that's exciting. And that's awesome. You get to share that with the kids as well.
Yeah. And what's really fun is like the kids I teach, like they pick up on like, why I designed, like what little elements I put in here that relate to the element itself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, what how do you know what's next? Like, why hydrogen, why oxygen, why carbon? Like, what did you go in that order and not in some other order?
So when I first thought of doing this as a series, right away I knew I was doing hydrogen first, oxygen second, carbon third. It just made sense because they're the elements you need for life, basically, right?
Right.
After hydrogen, it had to be oxygen so you can make water, right? Which is why I did the H2O case.
Mm-hmm.
And all life forms are carbon-based, so you need carbon in order for life to exist. At least life as we know it to exist. So right off the bat, I knew I was going to do those 3, and from here on out, who knows what's next?
Nice. I think you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
I have a short list, but I haven't decided yet.
So one of the questions was,
make sure you let us know when you figure it out.
well, yeah, next time you figure it out and you want to announce it again, you're more than welcome back on the show.
So here's the thing with Nick, when he has a new deck coming out, so I take photos for it, but he never tells me what it is. I have to wait until I open up the box as well. So it's like yes, I know a box is coming, and then when he sends me the tracking number, it's usually not in the mail yet because it's a prototype, and we all know that's MPC's tracking number, which might take a week to even it would be in pre-shipment for a week. So eventually, when it gets sent, we're both like, oh my god, it got sent. And then this time when I opened it, it was pretty dope because it was 2 decks in there, and I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So there's a few surprises with this series, with this release rather. One of them is the fact that yes, it's 2 decks, and I will say that they are 2 completely different decks. It's not just a color change, not just one black, one white deck. It's 2 totally different decks. Different thought processes went into both decks. Yeah, and I think personally, this is going to be this is my favorite of the series so far because so much thought went into it, and I think the designs just came out amazing.
And definitely make sure to stick around till later in the show where we're going to show off the back side of those 2 decks. So that should be exciting.
Tyler wants to drag it out as long as possible.
Oh my god, I do. Listen, I got tortured on this one. Everyone's got to get tortured on this.
Hey, I showed you when I got it.
I appreciate it.
We were actually, Nick and I were kind of like, should we wait until everybody else gets to see it? And then I
was 100% okay with the surprise. I'm
I
like,
know, but I saw it and I was like, I gotta show him.
He's like, you want to see? I'm like, I'm fine either way. He's like, here they are. I was like, so I'm not gonna lie though. I absolutely love them. I think the masses are gonna love them as well. So
I hope so. That'd be great.
So, but
how excited do you get when it's like the teasing starts? When you put out that first image and start getting the responses back. And
well, what's funny is I had told myself I'll post this at 5 o'clock, and then it's noon. I'm like, I gotta wait. There's 5 more hours. I'm like, you know what? I can, I'll hold off. And then eventually it's 2 o'clock. I'm just going to show it. I'm not waiting any longer.
See, that excitement is awesome, though. I think that's such a, from your point of view, to be able to see something go from your mind to paper to reality just has to be so satisfying.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I always loved about being a print designer was, you work on something, and then you have like a final product that you actually, a tangible product you can hold in your hands and say like, I made that. So
Right.
as far as print design, that's one of the things I always loved, as opposed to, something like web design, which is like, you just throw it up on the screen and it's done.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
What do you have a question, Tyler, that you're going to ask before I interrupted you before?
So one of the questions that actually came into the chat was, do you have plans, and I feel like this is a very ambitious plan if you do, but do you have plans to make your way through the whole periodic table?
So I thought about this. Now, the thing is, I can get through maybe two, maybe 3 decks a year. There's 118 elements. So that's like a 30-year, 30, 40, The idea I did have, which I didn't really look into, was, possibly having some sort of like placeholder deck or something that like is just easily printed, even if it's like MPC that, it's, you just get that element and it'll say the element and then really that's it. But I haven't really thought out the whole process through.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely know I do want to get like the first 20, and then some of the major ones. Like everybody's always saying gold. Yeah, I'd love to do gold, but the idea I have for gold would cost a lot. So I gotta I want to wait till maybe there's more a little bit more of a following that would be into it.
Yeah.
And then Mercury is gonna be awesome, and yeah.
Some of these sound like they might need some foil on them. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. I mean, the metal ones for sure, but
So now,
foiling is crazy expensive.
And with that in mind, though, I mean, unless you were going to do like a single color like Metalux foil, in theory, you'd either have to switch to Cartamundi or another printer. What, I guess, from my point of view, I'm curious, what made you decide on USPCC originally, and would you be opposed to the idea of switching to another printer should you need to?
Really, it was I just like USPCC is my preferred stock.
Okay.
Next up would be Cartamundi. I have no problem with their stock. I don't know. There's something about USPCC that I don't know if it's because I've always used USPCC, but it's just, I don't know, it feels better to me.
Okay.
You know what you could do? You can like order your Cartamundi now, and then maybe get it by the time you want to put out the deck in 2025.
Very true. Very true.
We'll see.
Oh, God. So
That's funny.
one of the other things I think that if you ended up going with that route too, I hope you do continue the idea of the custom like acrylic cases for it. So granted, if you made one for the whole periodic table, that would be a big ass piece of acrylic. But if you
the 20 would be dope though, like the top 20? Like the first 20.
What's the biggest one they have right now? 16, I think.
No, they have.
So yeah, someone actually just dropped a picture on Instagram today.
TCC made 50. They made a 51. They made a 44 one.
Wow, that's all displayed out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I mean, if you did the whole periodic table, you'd obviously have to do like the little branches and everything to make it work. But like, I mean, I think a really cool idea is as you get more elements under your belt, doing custom cases that you could mix and match the decks to make different combinations. So obviously H2O, but what if you had something where you did like O2, or I mean, that's a real simple one, and obviously you have 2 decks, and I have no idea what your other decks are going to be. But like, even if you did something like I don't know, I'm literally blanking on everything I learned in chemistry in my life. So, you know what I mean, though? If you had one where it was really like a longer chain, like 4 decks or 5 decks, and custom cutting it. And
yeah, that's definitely something I had in mind eventually. So, yeah, absolutely. I would, 100%.
So we actually just had a good Luguedi question coming for you as well. It said, question for Nick, when are you going to do the element of surprise?
If I told you, you wouldn't be surprised.
Touche.
Okay. And Stu just shouted now into chat.
No.
But
on that note, should we like maybe tease the first? Like give them a little bit of the back design.
Steve is antsy today. Damn.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way: we have 2 people are going to want to talk about it. Let's at least give them one where we can chat about it.
So I'm guessing we want to go with the first one that was like teased out, right?
Yeah, let's go with that one.
All
Let's go with that.
So, all right, and a suggestion in chat for a possible acrylic case would be C10 H15N. So there you go. You could sell a lot of decks this way, man. You could come up with some crazy formulas and have to sell quick. But all right, guys. Without further ado, here is the back of the Carbon Diamond Edition deck. And of course, it covers Nick's face, so I apologize for that.
Can't you slide us 3 over so you can see those?
So I can't because of the way it's done up, but it happened. So, yeah, the only thing I can do is make one of us big on the side and too small on the other side. But there you go. So,
Nice.
for anyone who didn't get it, you'll have to check the replay. But that is the back of the highly anticipated Carbon Diamond Edition deck.
Yes.
What is everyone's thoughts? I'm curious to see what I mean, there's a lot of wows in there and sold. So I think you're doing well so far from it.
We got an oh damn. Oh yeah, there it is.
It is a damn good looking deck. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And so the thing that threw me
Where's yours, Tyler?
So the thing that threw me off the most about it, and I even said this to Steve, the way you drew the center diamond, and maybe again it's because I'm going through a computer and not in person, it almost looks like photorealistic to some extent, just because of the way it has like a little bit of a glare to the cut, like the way it would reflect off a stone and everything. I thought it was beautifully done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that. So I've been working on this deck since October, November. And
Okay.
that center, the lighting's terrible. That center diamond there.
Yeah, I got it.
That took me countless hours to get that right.
I mean, I can't even imagine the amount of effort that went into that. I mean, the fine detail. I can see like little pinpricks of color or of black to give like the actual depth and everything. It's phenomenal. So
yeah, thank you. And what's great, it's not a photo, it's all vector art, all done in Illustrator. So I like all those are all like little shapes. Those are all like little shapes, different shades of black and white.
Give it up, Nick. Nick, give it up.
I feel like Steve pulled it up again.
Here's the thing, though, Steve. You keep going blurry because your connection's terrible.
Oh my god!
I can see it perfect.
Usually, I can see it perfect. It's in your hand.
No, I'm looking on YouTube. It looks perfect.
So the amount of detail that goes into that was just phenomenal. I think the way, to me, it's shocking to see how all those little shapes though come together to create the whole.
Yeah, actually, the way I did that was I found photos of actual real diamonds, and I just tried to mimic it as best I could in vector art.
Nice.
Which is why it took so long to do.
Evan said, Steve, feel free to put that up on your site after the show.
Oh my god.
Maybe eventually, if Nick doesn't come up with the periodic table like acrylic case, I'll just take all the prototypes that I get and make one. I have one. Why don't we have them yet?
No, it is a beautiful deck though, and I'm super excited about just the design of it. I mean, I think it's going to fan beautifully. I think the fans are going to be spectacular, and since that's what I really seem to like things these days, like I'm just excited to see how the circle element creates that kind of like continuous central element throughout.
Well, if you want to talk about fans, the real star is the second deck. The fans in the second deck they're a thing of beauty.
We're not dropping that one yet. Sorry, guys. You gotta wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, people gotta wait for that one.
Kier said he'll sell his for $100,000 US.
Who?
Kier.
Here? Yeah. Fuck that. I'll sell mine for 90 grand.
All right, we're having a reverse bidding war here.
Here, always coming in hot, man.
Also, this is completely unrelated, but Matt just goes, "Yo, was that blue couch behind Tyler all this time, or was I blind this whole time?" This couch has been here since episode 1. It wasn't here in episode 2 because I was in a hotel room. But other than that, it's been here the whole time.
No, I think it was blinded by the diamonds.
They could have been. He was able to see clearly after seeing the beauty of the diamonds. So, I mean, it's an exciting deck. And I think one of the interesting things about it, too, is Carbon has so many different forms that it can, be visualized in. What made you decide on Diamond?
So one of the questions that whenever I throw up, on Instagram, ask me a question, one of the questions I was always asked is, what's your favorite element? For me, it's always been Carbon because of how versatile it is. It can form different bonds with itself, and depending on how those bonds are formed and how they're attached, it creates totally different things. One of them being diamond, which I'm sure everybody knows is the hardest thing that we know in the face of the universe. So when I was going to do Carbon, I knew right away I wanted to do 2 separate editions, and one of them was going to be hands down Diamond Edition. Yeah,
I think that makes sense. I mean, I think it probably is the most easily recognized form of Carbon. Many people wear diamonds on their hands and on their jewelry regularly, so we see it all the time. And honestly, the funny thing about it too, it is such a commercialized vision of beauty, though. And obviously they're beautiful stones, but they're very much commercialized to be that way now.
Right.
It's cool to be able to say, oh yeah, I have a beautiful deck. It even represents something that is inherently beautiful on its own. So
Kier says, so it's like how isolation makes you either a magician or a serial killer.
I'm glad to know that everyone in the audience is a magician.
I mean, you never know. There's some people that I could see as being a serial killer. Maybe not in our audience, but in the community for sure. Yeah. I'm not going to name them because that will, be a little too much. But
so, with the idea of Carbon, and actually, yeah. So with the idea of Carbon, are there any ideas? Coming back to the acrylic cases, are there any special maybe? The plan there. You can tell me no if you don't want to talk about it too. I just thought of this one here. So
no, yeah, it's fine. So for oxygen, I did the H2O case. I'm going to be doing a
yeah. Oh, so really?
Dude, you completely just froze there the entire time.
Me?
Yeah. I thought it was fine.
The internet froze, and then you came back, and you were like, "Yeah."
Let's try that again.
I've ever seen in my life. That was literally the best evasion ever. Thank you so much.
I was like, oh great, my internet froze again.
So wait, what part was I cut off at?
You literally cut off at the part when you was like, right after you started to say what I'm going to do,
and then it froze.
All right. So I for the oxygen campaign, I had the H2O case.
Yes.
For this one, I'm happy to say I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to be doing a carbon dioxide case. Yeah.
Dope.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it'll be 2 oxygens and 1 carbon.
Nice.
Yeah. Mainly because, water and carbon dioxide are, part of life processes. So I definitely want to get those 2 out there.
Nice. Yeah. That'd be cool. You should do an up and down case this time.
Up and down. Like this?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. So one of the other things that I actually was curious about, and when we were talking on Monday, I was doing some side Googling as we were talking. And because I think one of the really cool things about Carbon is actually the whole kind of creation recently of creation, or at least in use for artistic purposes, of carbon nanotubes. And so, the creation of Vanta Black, or also then the creation subsequently of the pigment Blackest Black, which, obviously because the carbon nanotubes for Vanta Black were copyrighted, so no artist can use them, blah, blah. So I wish I could remember the artist's name who created Blackest Black. Did you have any consideration of trying to find like a really, really deep black printing ink that you could use for this? I mean, I don't know if that's feasible, but...
No. Honestly, the black that they use currently is really nice. I mean, if you look at like the hydrogen deck, I mean that black on the hydrogen deck, I think is really nice. Yeah, and it's a pure black that they use that I really like. But something like what you're talking about, if that was even possible, I'm sure it would cost $1 zillion to print.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it would be awesome, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It would be very
I'd rather not charge, $80 a deck.
Yeah.
Hey, you might as well just go with what everyone else is doing.
Oh my God. So one of the questions we actually had here, and I think this kind of takes an interesting tangent from the current discussion, and this comes from Kier, was what was it like designing Slow Hands, since it's so different from the Element series?
You know what? When me and Kier, I should mention Kier is probably my other bromance. Actually, it's like a three-way bromance between me, Kier, and Luke.
Oh, nice.
It's a thruple. That's what it's called. You have a thruple. It's a three-way couple.
So Kier, who's been, such, I feel like such a huge part of this all, he's helped me out, tremendously. When he first helped me out with the hydrogen deck, he had told me like, I have this idea for a deck, and I'd love it if if you'd be interested. I'd love to have you on board. And I was like, yeah, let me hear it. So he pitched it to me, and I was like, this is a really good, like, I really, really genuinely like the idea. I'm like, yeah, we got to do this. And when he told me the idea, and we were talking about it back and forth, we just settled on the fact that it had to be reminiscent of like a bicycle rider back, based on the story he was trying to tell. And one of the main reasons I love that deck is because that deck has pushed me as a designer more than like anything I've ever done, because I'm not used to that type of design. So I was there like researching like doodles and like looking at all like little doodles and stuff, and like trying to like make it my own. And I don't know, I have like in my sketchbook there's like pages and pages of, like all these doodles that some of them eventually made it on to the back design. What was really tough is I have a laptop, and I don't have a mouse for my laptop. I have the trackpad. I had to draw those doodles by hand with the trackpad. So I had to like draw them with my finger on the trackpad, and it took forever.
That is terrible. Oh
yeah.
Get out your game, Nick.
Oh
you need
my
a
God.
stylus on there, a pen.
Something.
I was super excited to work on that deck. That deck it should be printing, I think, within the next couple of weeks, and I can't wait to get that deck in my hands, because it's something I'm really proud of, and I'm really happy that Kier asked me to work on it with him.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one as well.
I like to see who collaborates with more people, you or Luke. You guys should like do a race and see like who can collaborate with the most people.
Which someone in the chat just said.
I think he's beating you by one, right?
Who? Luke. So yeah. I have now collaborated with two people. One of them is Kier, which we just mentioned, and I don't know if I should I mention the other one I collaborated with?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I mean, a little bit more time.
I feel like you were serving me. I feel like you were serving me a softball there, Steve.
I mean, it could have been.
So I think one of the interesting things was you kind of mentioned earlier too that you started out collecting cards as well. Well, interested in Magic, but also collecting cards. So two-part question, I guess, because there was a question from the audience: how many cards do you have in your collection? And ballparks are fine; it doesn't have to be exact. But the second question I have is, excluding your own decks and Luke's decks because, no feelings getting hurt here. What is your favorite deck?
Yeah, it's going to be the Smoke and Mirrors.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was the deck that turned me on to thinking about decks in a different light. Like, that was the deck that I saw, and I was like, oh, wow, like a deck of cards doesn't only really have to be rider back or something like that. Like, they took that and they basically they made it their own, and the concept behind it too I thought was phenomenal, and I loved it. So once I saw those, I was like, yeah, this is the deck that makes me want to design decks.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many decks do you have in your collection?
I would say somewhere between.
You can also discount like any of your own decks that are like
not duplicates, but I'd say no duplicates. Probably around 400 or 500, maybe.
Damn.
Maybe.
Dang, Nick's a baller.
Yeah, that's a solid collection, man.
So I have, and all my cards like in my closet on a shelf, and it's like just a whole shelf. It's like cards and.
You froze up there. It's cards and what?
Cards and some shoes.
Okay. Oh, nice. I was really intrigued. I'm like, cards and what?
And now you'll never know.
Someone just dropped in there. Wow, that's a serious collection, but that really is for unique decks of cards. Like, that's a pretty solid collection there. And I know you said you've been collecting for a while, but
it's either 500 or I'm a terrible estimator.
Kevin Ducey said, have you ever thought of doing a marking system on your decks?
So that's a really funny question. And I will say that, I guess I'll reveal that now. I was going to reveal it later, but the Diamond Edition is fully marked.
Oh, snap.
Yes. So, and I'll talk about that why, I guess, a little later, because it kind of I gotta give you the whole story after we show the next deck. But yes, the Diamond Edition is a fully marked deck. Fully marked, yep. My first fully marked deck.
How was it designing a marking system?
Very, very tedious. It took really long, and especially like when I noticed the mistake, I had to go back and like fix them all. So it took forever.
Nice.
That is terrible. That's rough.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me tell you, setting it up for like NPC, like making sure you place each card with the correct back, that was really fun.
I can't even imagine. That sounds terrible.
You have to lay out card by card on there.
That doesn't sound enjoyable at all. That sounds that sounds amazingly tedious. So, oof.
Yes.
But, oh man. So there was actually another question from Luke. I feel like Luke and you talk a lot, but he has a lot of questions. Luke, you can just ask him. I'm kidding. Where did it just literally rolled off the screen? There we go. Which decks on Kickstarter right now are you most drawn to? So I'll also throw a caveat out there that usually with designers, we don't put them on the spot with Kickstarter decks because we don't want to hurt any feelings. But if you're comfortable saying which ones you like, feel free. You don't have to say which ones you don't like.
I'm like blanking what's on there right now.
Damn, I'm blanking too, and I just looked at it a couple days ago.
There's the Blueprint deck.
Blueprint, Exodus, Dark Kingdom.
I mean, I'll say this. What I am more drawn to in terms of decks is I'm in the camp where I don't like completely custom decks.
Okay.
I like my court cards relatively standard and tweaked.
Right.
So typically, if I'm going to be drawn to a deck of cards, typically it's going to be a standard design. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of what's up there now, and I'm guessing that most of what we've seen up there now probably would not be to your taste then.
Yeah.
Elevation's up there.
Oh, you know what actually probably would be is Paisley.
Paisley?
Yeah.
Well, from the standard court's point of view. So
right.
Enjoy the deck, yeah. Neither here nor there.
I mean, I'm not a Paisley design person.
Right. I'm normally not either, but I love those Paisley decks.
Yeah.
See, I'm a big fan of the Paisley deck.
I absolutely love Paisley. I don't know why it's my favorite pattern, and my girlfriend,
okay.
the graphic designer, is horrified by that notion. So I have a feeling that graphic designers don't really like Paisley as a whole.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure
You're not going to
it
hurt
was.
my feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's more of a nostalgia thing for me than anything, because I remember like when I was a kid, my dad used to have a lot of Paisley ties, and so like I always associate it with like being a kid. That's kind of just why I like the pattern. So if anyone's curious, what's an easy sell for me? Anything Paisley.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll have to remember that. We'll give you a Paisley hoodie, a hoodie with just like the Paisley on the front.
There you go. I'd much rather have a Luke Wadey hoodie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Luke, get on those hoodies. I only got a t-shirt. I want a hoodie.
I know, right? Jeez. What you had other questions, right?
I have another one if you want me to ask it right now. This one's also. I have like 9 questions from Luke.
I know you said you had a lot, so go for it.
What color socks are you wearing?
Right now I'm wearing blue socks.
I wish I was kidding you. This is a question from Luke.
Do we have a Kyle question?
Yes,
So
he messaged me telling me he has a question for me.
So we do have a Kyle question, but I wasn't able to bring the visual aids on, and I don't necessarily know if I want to. Yeah, Steve's really confused. There were pictures involved in this one. Let's hold on to the Kyle question, and I'll see if I can get. And I'll see if I can get
visual aids. Just ask the question.
No, you do need visual aids. Trust me. And even with visual aids, I was confused. So let me pull up Kyle's question. I can ask, and then you can discern whether or not you need visual aids, and then I can hold it up on my phone. How's that?
Okay. That works.
He also like presented this to me as a science question. I'm calling shenanigans right now.
Oh boy.
But the question was, let's see, where are we at? There are 2 identical eagles, one flying toward the sun, one flying away from the sun. The one flying away from the sun has a 12-foot wingspan, but the one flying towards the sun has a 6-foot wingspan. Why? Also, that's a huge wingspan for an eagle, I feel like. Just throwing that out there.
Wait, say that again. Say it again.
There are 2 identical eagles, one flying towards the sun and one flying away from the sun. The one flying away from the sun has a 12-foot wingspan, but the one flying toward the sun has a 6-foot wingspan. Why?
Somebody with the shadows? I don't know.
The sun is farther away. The other one's
What's
closer to us. So it appears like it's 12.
No,
You're both wrong.
You're both wrong. I don't know. Because it's closer to you? I have no idea.
So there's the one flying away from the sun.
Okay.
Sorry, it's blurry. There's the one flying towards the sun.
So it's a side view versus a front view?
No, it's just he's flying towards the sun, so he has to block his eye with his wing. So, Kyle.
Oh. Totally got that wrong.
Steve's like dumbfounded right now. He's like, what the fuck did I just watch? Or his headphones stopped working. I'm not sure which. But that being said, I do have some other questions which we can get into.
Yeah, shoot.
So, actually, and this one comes from Forrest of Spades. What's the secret recipe for your haircut?
My haircut? I haven't gotten one in forever. I would love a haircut right now, to be honest.
See, I'm trying to think if we have some interesting ones here.
I could hear you guys for a minute.
What's up? Oh, I knew you couldn't hear us. He looked confused, and then like he flipped the switch on the back of his headphone. I knew he couldn't hear. So, did you get the Kyle joke? Did you just not hear it?
I saw the part where you said this is the one flying away from the sun. So show me. So I saw the one flying towards the sun. I mean, away from the sun, which is flying towards us, and the one flying away from us is what?
Flying away. So flying towards the sun is this one.
Okay.
It also just looks like it's dabbing, which like.
Oh! I thought it was a side profile. Now I get it.
Like blocking its eyes.
Now I get it.
Kyle.
Or it could have just closed its eyes.
So here's a good question. This one also comes from Forrest of Spades. How would you name a brand new element?
If I discover,
Yeah, if you discovered an element, how would you name it?
I have no idea.
You'd call it Nisco.
I mean, that would be the logical thing to do, right? Name it after myself.
Yeah.
Nisconium or something.
All right, that makes sense.
You would have to put Luke's name in there with it, though. Nukesconium.
If it's explosive, sure, or reactive.
Nisquadium. It'd be Nisquadium.
Niquadium.
No, Nisquadium.
Oh, Nisquadium.
Oh my god. Or how about, here's another one, actually a really good one too. This is about your cards again. We'll get back on track a little bit. Your hydrogen and oxygen decks are both labeled V1s. Will there be V2s / reprints of all of your decks? Or any of your decks?
Well, yeah, so this is something I definitely thought of. I don't want to reprint them because I don't know, I feel like those backers who, and subsequently the people who purchase them afterwards, I wanted to make this a collection. So to make a collection, you want to make things somewhat limited. But yeah, they do say V1. So my idea is if I ever, I made sure to put that there so it gives me the option of printing a V2 of each element, which I would love to do at some point. Yeah. So yes, I do plan on doing it. I haven't given it thought yet, but like I would like to do a hydrogen V2, oxygen V2. So yeah.
You ever think about how come? What made you choose blue for oxygen? Isn't the color of the element red or green?
I chose blue because oxygen in its liquid state is blue.
Gotcha.
That's why the oxygen bottles, I put the blue resin in. Oh, I didn't. Darren, he put the blue resin in there, and
right.
I wanted to represent liquid oxygen.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the? Is it red though? Did you say?
Red. Yeah.
What's the element color like?
Well, I mean, in its natural state, it's a gas, so it's colorless.
Right.
Yeah. So,
no, but like the symbol wise, it's like they add like a color to everything.
Do they? I'm not aware.
Color for.
So liquid oxygen, yeah, like you said, is blue, and then oxygen flame, like if you burn oxygen, is blue as well. Like
right, yeah.
Or is it hydrogen? What color? We were talking about this the other day.
We were talking about the other day. I think it's the color of hydrogen if you burn it. Or
no, so there's gases that if you run electrical current through it, they'll light up different colors. Yeah,
gotcha.
Maybe that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and oxygen, if you do that, I don't think it has a color. I could be wrong.
We were talking about one. It might have been hydrogen. That was.
I really can't even remember too, but I don't
remember either. Whatever. Yeah. Like, it's not that important.
we might have also literally just been talking about other random elements because I was probably like, I'd really like a green deck. What element is green? So that could have also been it. But
there was something that was green, right? Now I forget what it was.
Honestly, so I know when I looked it up today because we had that discussion about boron. Boron's green.
Oh, okay.
Boron. That's cool. I like that name.
Or is boron black? What was I? Oh my god.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it was an element that was like red or green.
Oh no, boron. The color of boron is green. It's bright green.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So.
All right. So when I get up to boron, it'll be a bright green deck.
That would make me very happy. Blue is my favorite color, but for some reason I really haven't seen a good green deck recently, and I'd really like to.
There's not a lot of green decks out there. Same thing with yellow. There's not a lot of yellow, not a lot of green.
Yeah, because honestly, I think yellow is a low bar right now too after the Mandarin Monarchs.
I'll
just drop that there.
Jerry's just did yellow, didn't they?
Yeah. Which I like that because it's a very like primary yellow, but like I feel like yellow has so much range that you could do in it.
Right. Yeah.
So
actually, I really like the yellow that's on like the standard bikes, standard cards. The yellow that's on the courts. I think it's a really nice yellow. That's why I've kept that yellow.
I think the reason why a lot of people don't use yellow is because there are only certain decks that work with yellow.
Mm-hmm. Luke just commented in the chat.
Luke.
My bad, Luke. I apologize.
Uh-oh. We're getting divorced now. it's like I forgot our anniversary.
Yeah, but no, we're talking about ones that have printed, okay? We're literally talking about printed yellow.
Yeah, Luke.
Your deck's not printed yet, Luke.
Nice save.
Always about Luke. We always got to bring, you know what, Luke? It's not about you all the time, okay? When your deck's printed, we'll bring you back in.
Luke stays up later than anyone I know to be to sit in the audience of this show, so I'm so glad to see that. We apologize for forgetting about the COVID deck.
That's funny.
Man.
I think
so.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do have one more question too, which I think is another really good one. This one comes from Kier. We clearly have a theme of who wanted to ask you questions. I feel like these might have been planted. I'm just gonna drop that there too. But Kier said, if you could design a deck for any brand, who and why?
Any brand.
And don't be like, oh, Luke and Gomes. Like,
well, are we talking? I have no idea.
So actually, yeah, and Kier, if you can like qualify that a little bit, is it like a brand like he wants to design for, like, I don't know, what's the damn tequila? I can't think of, like, a Jose Cuervo tequila, or is it a specific, like a card company that already exists design? I think he might still be in the chat. If not, you can answer both maybe.
Let's do both. Let's say a big brand, like a brand, and then a card brand.
A brand. Yeah.
Put his ass on the spot.
He said card company.
Card company.
Card company. I mean, I really have no idea. I'll say this. I have thought about, like, maybe I'll turn this into the collab question. Like, who would I like to collaborate with? And one something I've always come back to, and this is mainly because, like, I feel like the direction we're taking is similar, completely different, but similar, is actually OPC.
Oh, cool.
Like, I'm doing elements, they're doing fruit, which I believe they're going to expand soon. But it's like the same. The thought process, I feel like, is along the same lines, at least in my view. So
yeah, like, especially in the courts, I can see that with still semi-standard courts, but very, like,
right, yeah,
quirky, interesting little touches. Yeah,
right. So I mean, I like what OPC is doing.
Yeah,
I like that they don't just pay attention to the cards, that they pay attention to the packaging and everything that goes along with it. I don't know, just makes it more cohesive in my eyes. So I like what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I do you think we'll see a half brick box or a brick box from Elemental Playing Cards?
Yes.
Nice.
that is exciting. So yeah, so something new. Have you like, obviously with the diamond back design, we already talked about how that was kind of stretching your skills in a way that you hadn't done previously. But, like, are you also looking for new ways with the campaigns themselves to continue challenging yourself?
So the ideal scenario is within the next, 1 or 2 campaigns. Hopefully I can raise enough where I won't have to go back to Kickstarter. Because ultimately what I would love to do is, I'll go back to OPC, is what they do. Print, 2,500, set them up for like a day or two, sell them for like $9 a pop, and then go from there. Because with Kickstarter, unfortunately, you have to, the deck's got to be a little bit more expensive than I would like,
Right.
Kickstarter has to take their share, and, you try to take that into account. But ultimately, if I can, I would love to move away from Kickstarter and just release it on my own.
Which it seems like that's kind of the direction I think all designers go. At some point, they all hit that point real quick where it's like, hey, Kickstarter's easy to get your foot in the door early.
Right.
Once you do a couple, you're like, all right, this sucks. Like, there's and maybe it doesn't suck, maybe it does. I don't know, but I'm sure there's a lot of things that are not ideal about the process.
Kickstarter, it's a great platform. it gets you views if nothing else, especially like for card design. Like people are going to see it. If people want to collect cards, they're going to see your design. So I think it's a phenomenal starting off point. But I think ideally I would like to move away from it if I can. If not, I'll keep doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully things go well so that you can get away from the Kickstarter grind. I mean, I think we would all love to see, what you really come out with going forward when you don't have to kind of so heavily rely on the Kickstarter flair and flash. I think it probably, to some extent, I'm sure that probably influences your design style, maybe minimally, but I'm sure it plays into it to some extent.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think I've been designing what I've wanted to design. Like the hydrogen deck, I feel like the very first time I even showed it, I don't think it was really well received.
Okay.
And there was some people that had told me, like, after a while, after it was released and after months of seeing it on Instagram, whatever, and then they decided to get it themselves. They had messaged me and said something along the lines of I wasn't really a huge fan of it at first, but it's really grown on me and I really like it, which for me is a huge compliment because it reminds me of like when you hear a song, like a brand new song for the first time, you're like, oh man, this song is terrible, and like you hear it again and again and again, and then like this happens to me like at the beginning of the end, like the beginning of summer, they always release like new songs and you hear like, oh, this is garbage, like it's terrible, and then by the end of summer you hear it so much like I really like this song now. So for me, it felt something along the lines of that because I think it was different enough from everything else that's been out there. Yeah. And I think people at first didn't know what to make of it. Yeah. And I was talking about this with Luke. It kind of hits a lot of boxes. Like, is it like a casino deck? Is it I don't know. It just hit a bunch of different boxes, and I think eventually, it started to resonate with people.
Yeah. We have a question. If you can give one tip for a new designer going for the first time, what would it be?
Research. Email, research. When I got into it, when I decided I was going to do it, I researched online. I emailed a bunch. I emailed gamblers. They were super helpful.
Yeah.
And I never really reached out to anybody within the community. I kind of just researched everything on my own and threw it out there. Now, I will say I do have, a print graphic design background, so some of the stuff I went into already knowing. But I would say research, and actually the other big piece of advice I would say is look to the community, because there is so much talent in the community that not only is there so much talent, there's so many people that are willing to work with you and want to work with people. So reach out to people in the community that can help you, get eyes on your deck, that can help you, make renders or put together videos or stuff like that. That would be the biggest piece of advice I would give. And then actually for people in the community, the other piece of advice, the piece of advice I would give to them is work with people that you're comfortable with, and work on projects that you like, that you feel, something towards. So like if someone comes towards you and like really not feeling it, don't worry. Don't work on it. And just tell them that, because if you're not feeling it, it's going to show in your work, and it's just not going to be as good of a fit as it can be. So not only find people, but find people that like what you're doing.
Yeah, and you have to be able to hear, criticism about your deck and not get
upset.
Kind of upset about it and lash back. Right. I think it's just hearing what people have to say and take it for a grain of salt. And exactly. if you have several people saying something about your deck, you have 5 people saying something,
And it's all the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. Chances are, then you should probably listen to them.
Right.
Yeah, but like you said, I think that's smart. Do research and don't be so quick to just throw it out there.
Right.
So we actually had an interesting question, which I think we discussed in the past about what Steve shaking his head. Would you ever print a scented deck for us deck sniffers? The reason I asked the question is I think it's an interesting premise. I would love to see that happen. But then Luke immediately followed up with the word fartium.
I definitely think that the people who are going to do a sniffing, like a scratch and sniff deck, would be like OPC.
If that's even possible to do like a scratch and sniff.
Oh, of course it is. I mean, you can do scratch and sniff Snickers. You can do a scratch and sniff deck.
Yeah, it's probably
like,
just some sort of
but like on the cards themselves, that would be terrible.
It would be
terrible.
It would probably be handling.
Yeah, you would ruin the deck.
Yeah.
If you got to scratch it.
There's a lot of shitty decks out there.
Yes,
the other
sulfur would be a terrible one.
That would be brutal. Like, you don't even want to get that in your house.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're like, what's that smell?
Oh my god.
Fata Monday.
Oh my god.
Let's dive into the second deck, man. Let's.
So I actually have a question that ties into it, I think, perfectly. And this is a question from Luke Wadey, and it says, "How do you feel?" It says, "How do you feel about collabs?"
I hate them. No. I think collabs with the right people can be pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm all for it, especially if you got 2 people or 3 people, whatever, that you follow their work and you really like their work, and then if they collab, I think makes it, at least for me, can make it a little bit exciting. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, no, I really dig collabs and seeing when 2 people get together and create something. Let's show the back design for this other deck.
All right, and it actually ties into a good question we just had dropped in the chat as well. But so guys, here is the next design for the carbon graphite deck.
There you go.
look at that, right over Nick's face. It's collaboration. There it is. Collaboration between Wadey and Elemental.
Yeah, so
finally it happened.
I know. Steve, you've been asking for it forever, I feel like.
I have been asking for it forever.
Yeah.
Go.
It is a damn. Who's waiting?
Who's waiting?
Oh my gosh. So no, I think both of these, I think the 2, and we discussed it a little bit earlier, and of course I keep forgetting to put this back up, but the 2 different sides of carbon. It's such an interesting premise, the diamond versus the graphite,
right.
The different purposes that they're used for. There's so much contrast between carbon or graphite and diamond that it's just an amazing kind of idea. Did you know from the onset that this is what you wanted to do with these decks?
Yeah. So when I knew I was going to do carbon, I knew I wanted to do both. I want to do the allotropes of carbon, which was diamond and graphite, right off the bat. And it was actually last summer I was talking with Luke, and I was like, I was telling him, like, Luke, I would love if we collaborated. So this has been in the works since I want to say last summer. I don't know. Luke can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it was last summer where we started again to talks about possibly doing a collaboration. And Luke was like, well, what's that gonna, what is that gonna look like between us? And I was like, well, I have this idea. I want to do carbon, but I want to do 2 editions of carbon. I want to do carbon diamond edition and carbon graphite edition because they're both allotropes of carbon. You can't, they're both made of pure carbon. The only difference is how those atoms are arranged. And Luke was like, I would love to do graphite. I was like, I would love for you to do graphite because I think you would kill it. And I think he absolutely killed it. I think it's absolutely stunning. I love his design for graphite.
You guys did an amazing job working together. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to show the back design fan or no?
Oh, yeah, go for it. Actually, ask Luke.
All right.
So you didn't focus anyway.
Yeah, it didn't focus.
Luke, am I allowed to show the back design fan? Because we showed the back design.
Yeah. Also,
Oh yeah,
it's just so damn good.
it's so damn good. But I won't show it. But the face card fan is actually better. I'm not going to show that, but that's actually that. I've yet to see a fan of a deck where the face fan is better than the back fan.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth. Overall, I don't know what I like better, the front or the back.
I mean, I think
So
they're both
nice.
spectacular. Yeah.
So nice. You guys crushed it. Yeah, the face is. Yeah.
And so another question just came in, actually asking if there was a planned date for the Kickstarter to launch. Again, that may still be up in the air, but
No, so everything is all set. The Kickstarter will be on June 23rd at 1:30 p.m. Eastern is when it's set to launch. So
1:30 p.m.
1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Yep.
Nice.
So what I want to do with these decks, and Luke agreed with me when we were talking about, is like I want to get everything done and ready, and I want to just show the community, and then just throw it up on Kickstarter right away, because I didn't want to do like a long drawn out, like here's the deck, okay, now you got to wait 2 months. So I started showing the deck 2 days ago. It's going to be up in like 2 weeks, and not only that, but we also decided we are only doing a 2-week run on the campaign. So the campaign's only going to run for 2 weeks.
nice.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that long month drawn out process was really bugging me. So I was like, and plus most of your funds come in within the first 2 weeks anyway, I feel like. So we're like, let's just throw it up for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if you threw everything up there, like all the extra stuff that's going to be added and all that, then what's the point? Because I feel like if something's up there for 30 days, people are going to wait. If something's up there for 2 weeks, they're going to wait till 2 weeks anyway. So I think, as long as if you're going to have stretch goals, cool. If not, then what's the point?
Right.
I think just put it up there and,
Yeah. Again, because plus it gets everything out to you guys faster. Like if it's only a 2-week campaign, I can get the cards to you that much quicker also.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm on board with that. I love getting cards quicker, especially these. They look absolutely beautiful. And
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly psyched on both decks. I think they're going to be amazing. And I can't wait to see what you do with just not only these two, but also going forward. I think this series has so much potential. And
Thank you.
You've crushed both decks so far. I know you guys on this one with the collab. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait to see what comes after.
Are we going to see apparel? Are we going to see some carbon apparel?
Yes. I'm talking with someone now to make some hoodies. So there'll be some nerd hoodies, and nerd t-shirts and long sleeve shirts. So
Nice.
Yeah, it's not set in stone, but I'm looking to do that. Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely down for a nerd hoodie.
Yeah. Let me see. I love how the graphite looks smudged. Trust me, man. Shooting with that shit, like when I was shooting those photos, graphite was getting everywhere. I had to like wipe it off the cards, and some spots I had a Photoshop it. I'm gonna have to definitely go back and do some photoshopping.
So there's actually a good question too, and I think this kind of just based on the fact that 2/3 of the decks so far have been black and white. Are the plans that you're looking at for the rest of the decks mostly in that black and white vein as well?
So it's really the elements, however the elements that I'm doing speaks to me, that's the color I'm going to do it. So with carbon, I mean, it just made sense black and white, so I went black and white.
Yeah.
Same thing with oxygen. Blue made sense to me because, in its liquid form, again, it's blue. Other decks, when I get to them, they will, whatever color I feel as though it should be, it'll be that color. Yeah. So it's not just they're not just going to be black and white. It just happens that I think these have to be black and white.
And I mean, I definitely think that makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
Cool. Somebody asked, will you be selling signed ones?
Signed decks. So I haven't done that. I guess if there's enough of a demand for it, I can. Although I feel like it'll be tough because I feel like Luke should be signing them too, and that's that's gonna be a long process.
A lot of shipping, yeah, definitely a lot of shipping.
Yeah. Oof. Unless we do something where I'll only sign the diamond editions and he'll only sign the graphite editions.
Yeah, Luke said he reckons every deck looks good in black and white. Yeah. Like photography, Steve? Definitely not. people think every picture can be black and white, Luke, but definitely not.
No.
That's like saying you can design anything with Comic Sans.
Oof. I want a picture of a black and white rainbow. That's what
exactly. People do it. I think there's laws in photography that some people are breaking the law. But you know what? I'm a very I don't even know how to say it. There's certain images that can't be changed into black and white because they're not shot for black and white.
So I think this comes up a lot also too, just for the fact that I'll say Steve has a very discerning eye, and much to his credit as a photographer. But yeah, I'm not a photographer, and I'll tell you, I don't know. I think there's definitely like a layperson's view on things, and then like a photographer's view, very similar to, again, the fact that like there's a graphic designer's view and a layperson's view. It probably would horrify you if you saw the fonts that I used when writing a paper,
Probably Times New Roman.
No, it was not Times New Roman. So it's funny, in the legal world, the actual go-to font is Garamond, which is
I love Garamond.
So okay, there we go. So Garamond is my go-to font. So I'm glad I passed the test. But yeah, so I think I definitely think there's a kind of a different vibe though between what people see regularly. And I mean, listen, I think at the end of the day too, you look at professional photographers' photos. I could try and take the same picture standing right next to them or looking over their shoulder, and it's going to look like shit compared to it. So
I mean, you can go into my Instagram feed and look at my very first photos and then like start looking like the photos that start posting like people who can actually take photos and it's night and day.
Dude, I think to me
there's a big difference between people who are not photographers, because you can ask any like photographer this, is like there's a lot of people who take pictures that people that don't know about pictures love their photos. They're like, wow, that photo's amazing. When you ask a photographer, the photographer's like, that photo's trash. There's like totally different like things when it comes with photography. It's like in the photography world, a lot of photographers are like, that photo's trash, but other people are like, that's dope.
I guess it's all subjective. It's an art, right?
No, it's not. It's not. Not future walk. He's backing me up.
So here's the thing, though. Surprisingly, a lot of people like trash. It's just how it goes sometimes.
That's true. That is very true.
This is a discussion that Steve and I have regularly, and we've learned over time to compromise. Kind of.
Work wouldn't be the same in color. Actually, I'm gonna say something very controversial here, and my opinion is I think Ansel Adams stuff is trash, whether it's in color or black and white. And the reason why he's so popular is because what he did in his time was great. But looking at his images now, I think they're trash. I don't think anything's great about them. You heard it first on Deckin Around.
Great. We are now also art critics here. So we actually had a good question came in though that says, as you become ever more popular as a card designer, much deserved, you will run the risk of your 2,500 deck print run selling out in minutes, hours, weeks, like some of the bigger brands. Would you then consider doing larger print runs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If there's more of a demand for it, yeah, absolutely, I'll print more. Yeah, why not? I mean, I only printed 1,000 hydrogen decks, and those I still have. I think about just under 100 of those left.
People want those.
I'm gonna So one of my things I'm gonna do that I want to get ready for the summer is I want to get my website together, and then I'm gonna hold on to those and get them ready for my website. So this summer, hopefully, I'll find some time to put the website together, and I'll have them up on there.
Nice, dude. That's exciting.
When's that site gonna be up? You say summer?
I'm gonna say I don't have a date, but yeah, I'm gonna say summer. Hopefully by the end of summer. So end of August, hopefully before that.
Nice.
And so, as you mentioned, that eventually would be the place where you would go to get the decks versus Kickstarter.
Right.
Nice.
Right. That's the hope. That's the plan.
Nice. Sweet.
Yep.
That's exciting.
Nice.
Dude, we are excited about these decks. And what, June 23rd, you said?
Yeah, June 23rd, 30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Nice.
I wrote this shit down.
realized-
Copy and link.
My battery in my laptop just turned red. I'm like, oh, and I never plugged it in. I just plugged it in now.
Oh gosh.
All right, so Lee's the latecomer and Lee's my homie, so I'm gonna take these bad boys out and show him.
Because
Lee,
Kyle's been asking as well. So Kyle
Who?
has been asking. Kyle, yeah, he got in late.
Lee, this is the first back design. This is Diamond, the Diamond edition.
Which is fully marked. That was going to be fully marked.
This is fully marked. And collaboration with Luke Wadey and Elemental. This is the graphite edition. Hold on here. What the heck? There we go.
So I guess let me talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the designs. So
Yeah, heard it.
So like we were saying, carbon, based on how those atoms are arranged and how they are bond, they can form vastly different materials, right? Such as graphite and diamond. So when me and Luke were talking about this, we knew right away we wanted two completely different decks because graphite and carbon are, vastly different from each other in real life. So the idea being the diamond edition was more geared towards magicians. So it's like your standard magician's deck, which is also why I decided to mark it.
Right.
Whereas the graphite edition is more geared towards cardistry. So it's like the two spectrums of cards, right? You have your magician, decks that are more for magic that you would use for magic, and then you have your cards that you would use more for cardistry. Just to reinforce that idea that diamond and graphite are so vastly different from one another.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle was actually talking about doing a cut up of the diamond. He's like, oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
You know how cutting up cards now is the thing. Everybody's doing it. It's like
his stuff is.
Cool to see that cut up for sure.
His stuff looks awesome. The honeycomb, the honeybee one rather. That one looks awesome, Kyle.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I can just imagine the diamond one with the center stone gradually tapering in like a real diamond and having that depth to it would be absolutely beautiful.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
You know what the crazy thing is, Kyle? Is Matt already has a deck, so he's probably going to cut it first.
he just thought the show he's going to cut it right now.
Yeah, he just dropped off. He's like, peace out, Kyle. I'm cutting the diamond.
Kyle says send a diamond. He'll cut it up free for you, Nick.
Kyle said, screw Matt.
And then the other question. So Jason asked if deck idea. He asked if the diamond was.
Matt said he's currently doing it.
There you go. So deck idea. Jason just asked if the diamond was foiled, which going back earlier, the diamond is not going to be foiled, but there was discussion of future elements potentially having foil. So.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be foil. I mean, that's a really awesome idea. Possibly that's something. I'm sorry?
Or Metal Lux?
Or Metal Lux. I mean,
it's all or nothing, which is such a shame.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess metallic ink would be kind of cool, huh?
So I thought about that, And the main reason why I'm not doing anything like that with this deck is because it's marked, and I feel like if you put any sort of reflective anything on it, you just won't be able to read the marking system.
Yeah, yeah, that makes it tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
Stu's leaving. He said later, dude.
The other reason is like the diamond in the center, it's all just different shades of black. And if I were to do a metallic ink, once you change the shade of the metallic ink, it's no longer metallic.
yeah,
And the reason I know that is because I did that on the oxygen deck. If you look like the court cards, I changed the opacity of some of the metallic ink. It's no longer metallic anymore. So that's why. Yeah.
Dude, I think I think the Diamond Edition just looks beautiful as is. I mean, I'm so excited. I think the cool thing about it too, though, like you said, all being vectors, the cool thing about it though too is all of the vectors are really kind of like facets of what you would actually see on a diamond. So like
exactly,
it's that's really neat. Like I've always been fascinated by the way you cut gemstones and like the table and all that. So like to actually see it in such a clear way with all those little being made up of all the little facets is really just beautiful.
Yeah. That's the great thing of working in vectors. You could really zoom in and really get in there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. The detail on them was great. I think the detail on the Diamond Edition is super good. It's very fine for sure. And then just the same thing with the detail on the graphite. The cool thing is obviously when I was shooting, I was actually using graphite sticks, and I was putting it on the cards. And then when I was taking the graphite off, there'd be a spot right here that would be like the graphite that I put on. I'd wipe that off, and then over here I'd be like, "Oh shit, I got to wipe more off," but it wouldn't come off because it's hot and hot. So it really is pretty accurate with how graphite smudges on maybe like a piece of paper or something. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I absolutely love what he did with the back design. Funny story, before he showed me the design, he's like Nick, I got a design for you. He's like, I think you're gonna hate it though. I'm like, Luke, just show me the design. So he shows it to me, and I'm like, dude, that's badass. I absolutely love that design. And honestly, he from the design he showed me to where it is now, he made very few minor tweaks, really just to accentuate the fan.
Nice.
But pretty much what he showed me is what the card is right now.
Here's the thing about Luke. Okay, I don't even know if he's still on here, but anyway, Luke has this ability. So Tyler and I were talking, and we're like, saying like this deck that we want, and we want this thing and this thing and this thing. Literally, like the next day, like he comes up with something, like as a joke, comes up with something, and we're like, how fast, like.
It was like 6 hours later. We're like, what, dude? What?
He's like as a joke, but he banged it out, and I was like, dude, I would totally rock that deck. He's so talented and he's so fast. I think it's just like you said, he's like a true graphic designer that has the ability to create things very quickly. I mean, look at the COVID deck. That deck, came out so fast, and Luke said the mock-ups are done at NPC. Luke, nice. Don't even send me the tracking number, bro. Just
let him be surprised.
Yeah, he's just very talented, super quick, and I can only imagine when he sent it, because you and him are both alike in the way that you're like, oh, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if this and that. And it's like, yeah. So it's pretty funny that you're both super talented, and some people just work quicker than others.
He's a speed demon.
Yeah. I'm shocked at how quick he can turn stuff around. I think it's really spectacular. Like, granted, I'm not a graphic designer either. If I tried to do it, it'd take me a lifetime to draw a stick figure. But
but he also doesn't sleep, so I'm pretty sure he gets.
That's true. That's true.
Oh God! So he did ask. He said, "Hey Nick, tell us more about the marking system, buddy." So I think he's trying to.
So the marking system. So Steve, I didn't tell you about the marking system, and I did that on purpose because I want to see if you picked up on it. Did you notice?
I didn't even look.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, when I looked, I mean, I don't. I'll be totally honest, dude. When I have marked decks, I don't even give a shit about marked decks, like, because I don't have the best eyesight, so I can barely, like, if I'm gonna be looking at a marked deck, I'm gonna be like,
how are you a photographer with bad eyes?
Is this a 3 of clubs? No, I just have, like, yeah. Anyway,
Tyler, he has the lens do all the work for him. That's why.
Oh my God.
Just so you know, I'm laughing.
So yeah, I'm curious about.
Tell us about this marking system.
It's not in focus for me.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Turn it 90 degrees. So if you let me show you on moment. So the marking system is going to live right. You kind of see like these shapes here make like a square.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to live in that square, and also if you notice like this triangular shape here, it's also living in there. So
okay.
This was actually something that took me a while to figure out.
Can you tell me what this is?
See that? Let's see. That looks like, I want to say it's a little blurred, but King of Hearts. No, yeah, King of Hearts.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Cool. I'm not gonna show everybody, but cool, you're right.
Yeah.
Does somehow
cool.
make up a K and a heart? I'm so thrown off right now. Like what?
So what I did was I used the negative space in between the shapes to make either K for king or A for ace or 2 for 2 and so on and so forth.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So there's actually a K in there?
Yeah, there's K in there. Get your camera.
No, I mean I can see it, but
oh my God. Can you see it? I mean, I saw it. I'm looking at it through the computer. So,
did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw the K?
Because I saw the K. And yeah.
Well, I wonder how many people are going to go back and pause that spot right there.
Yeah, I don't see it yet.
It's like a magic eye puzzle.
I was just going to say that. It's like the magic eye puzzle.
Matt said he can't see it either. Exactly. The two photographers can't see it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look at the negative space, guys. Negative space.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
All right, so everyone knows if you want to fool Steve with a magic trick, just use the Diamond Edition deck.
Whatever. They could use it, but they don't. They could use it, but they don't have it yet.
No, it's a good-looking deck, and I think I'm guessing that the marking system kind of was spurred by your original kind of interest in Magic.
Yeah, so I've always liked marked decks. Some of them are done better than others.
Yeah.
I was actually, for this one, I kept asking Kier. I'm like, Kier, does this? I'm like, you're a magician. You tell me, does this work? And he's like, yeah, dude, that's. He's like, that totally works. It came to the point where I was like, I would show him like, guess what this one is. All right, guess what this one is. And like when I first showed him, it took him a little bit, but then like after a while, I'd say like the third or fourth one I showed him, he was like just on it every time. He got it every single time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, he dropped the King of Hearts in the chat pretty much as quick as you called it as well. So,
okay.
Dude, that's funny. No,
I still can't fucking see it. I'm looking at a different card now, but I still can't.
You
see
said
it.
we have all night.
That's funny.
No, I think that's a really cool challenge, though. A really cool way to challenge yourself, though, because I mean, from all the things I've read about creating a marking system, it is very complex.
Yeah, it was tough. But once I had the idea of using the negative space, because the first thought I had was like using the actual shapes, but I thought that was like using the actual shapes that are there. But I thought that would have been too obvious. So then I was like, what if I use the negative space behind the shapes? And I tried it out, and thankfully it worked. It was just tough making since they all live in this square.
Yeah.
They all live in like different parts of the square. I had to like make something where every letter or every number could live. So that was actually the really difficult part.
Yeah, I can imagine that's got to be real tough.
Yeah, I sketched out like a few ones where it's like, I was like, this one looks good, but I can't fit like an 8. Where does the 8 go? So I had to like redraw the whole thing and like. But yeah, it was challenging. It was fun, but I knew I wanted a marking system because I wanted both decks to be completely different from one another.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Steve, did you have any questions or anything from the audience?
No. Looks like we're pretty much.
I did have 2 random ones from Luke, but I feel like Luke's gotten enough shout-outs on this show now.
You know what? Luke's had enough tonight. Anybody else have any questions before we call it?
He literally just dropped another one in the chat. He goes, "When will we see your awesome jokers?" I think that's a relevant question, though. Do you have a joker reveal planned?
Here's one of his jokers. Here's the other one. So this is a collaboration between Luke and Nick, just so you know. And here's the last one.
There
nice.
You go. Yeah, love those. The grid deck, which I think it's almost sold out. So if nobody has the grid deck, I don't know what you're waiting for.
I have all of them. I think I have the remaining grid decks.
Do you really?
Yeah, they're on my site. I think I don't know. They kind of. I think Murphy's got a few more. They found them. They found them in a warehouse.
In an unopened box in the back of the warehouse.
Yeah, that's always how people find these random decks. They're like, "Oh, we just found 144 decks." Oh, yeah. Really?
And there was actually another question that just came in. What is the print run for these?
So that's going to be a little bit up in the air, really, because I don't know how well they're going to do. Ideally, I would like a 2,500, mostly because that'll bring the cost per deck down. But I'm going to say anywhere between 15 to 25. Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, I think that's a pretty standard run, especially. So cool.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a good price change. Yeah. From 1,000 to 2,500 for sure.
Yeah. There's a tiny price difference between 1,000 and 1,500, but there's a better. It gets better once you get to 25.
Nice.
But we're also thinking the graphite edition. We're thinking possibly making that a smaller print run. Make it a little bit more limited.
Yeah, make it kind of do it like cottage style. Make like 12 decks and
17 decks. You got 3 minutes to get it.
12 decks. You gotta do it. If you make a cottage deck, you might as well jump on the cottage bandwagon and make it like super exclusive and say you're gonna drop it one day and then don't drop it like 6 months later.
Not tell anybody.
Random time. Put like 27 passwords on it. Perfect cottage deck. On that note.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming on. I think everyone was super excited to see the back designs and just hear about the decks. I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing so much information about the marking system, the designs themselves. I think everyone's excited to finally see that Nisco weighty collaboration. So,
yeah. No more waiting. No more waiting. See what I did?
I need to say, thank you to you guys for having me on. Thank you for allowing me to reveal it on your show. Big shout out to Luke for, agreeing to collab and really just being such an awesome person to collaborate with. We just saw eye to eye on so much, and it was so easy working with him. I gotta say another big shout out to Kier for, letting me berate him with all these different, the marking system, and just like asking his overall opinion and getting his insight as a magician and all that. And thank you
really
to everybody else who's working or helping me out on the deck.
Yeah, it's cool to see. I'm so grateful for being a part of your team that you've created. I'm very humbled to Luke Wadey, Kier Gomes, Matt. Like, you have just people that are just super talented. So I'm definitely grateful. To be a part of that. And, congratulations to you and Luke for creating 2 fucking phenomenal decks. They're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are definitely rising stars in the community, and we're so happy to have you on, for real. Like, we appreciate it. Anytime that you want to come on and reveal stuff, you're obviously reveal cards. You are more than welcome to come on. Yeah. So everyone who was on tonight, thank you so much for making it out to the show. We really do appreciate all the support you guys show us. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, especially if you're new. Click the bell so you don't miss any episodes going forward. And before I forget, next week's guest is going to be Dominic Fuca, who you better know as Forest of Spades. So a little bit of a switch up on us. Yeah, we're going to be doing a photographer next week. So
I love that guy. He has good stuff.
He really does. And I'm excited to talk to him about his whole, how he came up with the card potions idea and all these things. It should be a fun show. So guys, make sure to check it out. Again, like and subscribe, and thank you everyone so much.
Yeah, thank you. Peace.
Yeah, guys.